Ready?
Ready.
We're gonna call to order the regular school board meeting of the Solon School District on May 15th. Can you call the roll of individuals present at the meeting?
Sure. Roll calls. Here.
Williamsburg with a jump of 22 feet, 2.5 inches. Is race height. Congratulations, race, on your long jump championship.
We have Veluska
Here.
and JSU board members here. So we have Lang is absent and Madison is absent.
Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our one visitor, and whoever joins us virtually later on. Celebration achievements.
We have those, just a quick summary of celebrations. Our middle school boys and girls won WAMAC titles. 7th grade girls, 8th grade girls, and 7th grade boys were all WAMAC champions in track and field. Our girls golf team, WAMAC champions, and top 5 golfers won WAMAC individual honors. We're hosting state 3A girls golf at Saddleback, so hoping that
6 of us made individual honors.
thank you.
Yes.
Six
All
made
6 of
individual
us.
honors. That's awesome. And we're actually hosting, so we qualify for state. The state meets in Solon for our girls, so that'll be good.
So that's, where is it usually? Do they move it
Past
all the
2
time?
years, it was at Pleasant Valley.
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah. We have a student, an archery high school student, Justin Moore, who is now ranked nationally in archery. And we had senior awards night the other night, and Dawn gave us the figure that over $200,000 in scholarships were awarded. That was great. Also want to, Deacon Waddle is, we got Waddell got a shout out from The Economist and Chris at The Economist. He's been supplying many pictures and photos that they've been.
Oh, that's
using
great.
for the paper, so they're really pleased and happy that he's doing that. So shout out to
Two
Deacon.
pictures were in today's paper from the super stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a few more on the online for each, picture now, so. It's all up to date for us, that was still that, so.
Yeah, so we've got June 2nd and 3rd coming up for added professional development days for teachers. I just kind of give a quick overview. Monday, June 2nd, each building has identified professional development outcomes for each of those days. So like for PK5, they're going to really look at focusing on their literacy overview, the Scarborough's rope, science of reading connections to that, and then going through some data review, some celebrations from the year in terms of the work that they've done this past year, taking a look at and examining their next year's plan on a page, their strategic plan on a page for their building, and then some additional literacy work or professional development, examining their sight word instruction, mini lessons. They'll continue to do some of that work in the afternoon. They're going to take a look at their guaranteed viable curriculum work for some of their units. Intermediate schools doing something very similar on the 2nd, almost identical. They're going to do some planning for their reading strategy groups for next year, which I know that they've found a lot of success with this year in terms of their work. Middle school, I'm going to help facilitate some work regarding student preparation, looking at our standards-based grading outcomes as well as reassessment pieces. We're going to examine some of that. High school on Monday, the 2nd, I've contracted with Corwin to come in and do some work around the gradual release of gradual release of responsibility instructional model, to support some of the work that they're doing in their instruction within the block schedule. I think after several conversations, I think we've determined that there's definitely some inconsistencies of how the block is being used. And so wanted to bring in some professional development, which actually aligns to some of the feedback we got back from that district survey, that the high school really felt like they needed more professional development, higher quality. So this is kind of our effort to bring in high quality professional development with a consultant who's been in the field before as a principal and teacher, and who can really, I think, help us launch this work. We're going to have a relationship with them into next year. So this isn't just a one and done day. They're going to come back in August as well as October, and do also some job embedded professional development during the year, provide some feedback to support our teachers. I think a main goal of this is to really build some consistency across all classrooms and ensure we're utilizing the block appropriately and effectively, to help support that student preparation. Then June 3rd, Tuesday, June 3rd, Lakeview and Intermediate will continue to dig into some of their literacy work. Yeah, I think just a continuation from Monday. Middle school, we're jumping back into doing more with the grading piece. High school, we're really gonna hit the reassessment guidelines and look at how we're gonna limit reassessment and try to get a better grasp on that. Again, the whole purpose is to build consistency across the system, to ensure that we're doing what's in the best interest of kids to best prepare them beyond high school. So.
Which is great.
Yeah. Math, I mean, because the math piece we'll come back to in August, because we're waiting for some additional guidance around that. We know it's going to be very similar to literacy. We know that they're not going to dictate specific curriculum to us in regards to math, but definitely we'll need to examine what our systems look like and how we look at screening for math, looking at intervention for math. It'll be very similar, and again, it'll be math personalized plans, just like literacy.
We've started that with COVID. We've got a lot of things in place, and like Josh said, we're waiting for the Department of Education to interpret and write based upon the legislation we've had. So yeah,
we just want to make sure we're not missing any details before we jump all the way in. But yeah, I mean, we have things like Davis said, we have several things in place. I think it's once we get some of that final interpretation, we can better, okay, this is how we're all going to move forward, because it'll be a K-6 piece. So we'll have a little bit of middle school in there as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought they mentioned one, but oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So for our screener, I mean, we're looking at, I think MAP, because we use the MAP data. Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thanks, Josh. Admin reports.
Yeah, just wanted to bring you up to speed. So Monday's our kickoff for the cell phone. As an admin team, we've put together a Q&A, questions that we feel parents or students may have, and so that each principal communicated with their population, but they really sent out pretty similar type of communication. So that's all gone out. I know the high school had an assembly today with everybody, just to kind of go over that with them. We have a Google form that each principal will be able to just record data. So it's if a device has to be taken, they'll record that, and they'll record location, classroom, hallway, lunchroom, recess, whatever, so that we can, at the end of this 2 week, we can know, hey, how many times did we have to intervene, remove a device? Where was that we had to do it? Was it in the classroom? Was it at the lunch table? And we can better provide you the data as far as these were some hiccups, this is some data we collected as far as when students struggled the most to separate from their device, and such, so that's kicks off Monday.
Given that we're gonna have to finalize the policy. When do we want them to figure something, that's just our meeting for June 18th?
Yeah, that sounds right.
The beginning of that week.
Because that week, so that.
Get the date out.
By
I
the,
can just send
yeah,
it all on email. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well, it's summarized.
Yeah.
just summarize at
Yeah.
the beginning of that
Give you
week,
some
it gives
raw,
them a couple
raw
days.
numbers and some summary, yeah, yeah.
Yes, I just want to make sure the board has enough time, if we need to tweak the direction we're going, I want time for you guys, so. Since I won't be here, I want you guys. to-
Yeah.
That's why you're looking at us.
I'll make sure there's time for you guys to
Well,
process through it before.
The Google form will give some quantitative data, but we'll also talk as a team and
Yeah,
give
sure.
you some qualitative data too.
Sure.
to feedback, yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
I just want to hear from students as well.
How'd the assembly go today?
There was a lot of blowback.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
that's given, but to be honest, yeah, I think people are not on board
Yeah.
with the concept. But I feel like it's just gonna be a learning curve.
So we'll see how the next 2 weeks go.
Yeah.
Well, it's the hardest building, and I appreciate you guys going through it.
Mhm.
I really do.
I'm gonna take a step back, I forgot to check and see if you were ready, wanting to speak at the board meeting, or if you're just here to observe.
No, I was just here to listen in on the phone policy stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it's all good. Normally at the beginning, we got a period at the beginning where we make public comment, and I normally ask that. We so very rarely have anyone in the audience, it's not one of our administrators or who's presenting, I'm like, wait a second. I better check and see what the audience is, if you were here to present or provide comment.
No, I was just here to listen for that.
okay.
Yeah, and so,
Thank you.
that's where we're at, thank you.
Have a good evening.
I'll get that.
Board committee updates, strategic plan, roll call students. Roll call students, strategic plan.
Well, as requested, we did give some feedback to Davis regarding some of the metrics for the forward curricular policy. I just have a few of them here, like year-over-year increase in ISAP scores, reduction in absenteeism rate, increase in the number of behavioral incidents. We gotta see there's a few more of those,
Yeah.
like ideas. Certainly, we don't need to track all of them, but we need to establish a benchmark, which ones can we establish now? And then
Yeah.
how can we, starting at the beginning of the school year, as we go through this 2-year trial, we can see which ones are at most,
Sure.
which ones we think we actually, because we think by doing this, this is what we anticipate will happen from a student outcome perspective. Before the next board meeting, I will have my first ever sitting in on the legislative review committee.
Very nice.
Hat into that ring, I
Very
don't know why I
nice.
said yes to everything, but I did that. So that's on June 6th.
Thanks for your hand in the vacancy.
I know, and I said go to that.
You did say that, I said I nominate you.
Let me.
And she returned that, I said she'd nominate me, and I said, no,
Oh,
thank you.
sure, I could commenting as did come back to me. So that, I think that will be good to kind of have, to be able to bring that back to the board and see what ISB is really wanting to propose, and we can kind of get proactive in some of our own modeling that we can do.
Sounds good. Capital projects, that's Adam.
I don't sure Daniel, anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I think basically it's been focused around cell phone policy, just, you know, in that process.
Capital projects, Adam and I are recommending that, the indoor facility will move forward with, putting that up on the middle school footprint over there, so that's, Davis is going to start working with the architects and everybody, and so we will move forward with the best location, and that's been one that we've been still working on in the background, so that is the plan.
Just a quick question, I should have probably asked you and Adam, but is there a direction you want to go with an architect? Because we're not under no contract with anybody for architectural services. So that's.
I know we have some local ones.
If you got suggestions, otherwise, let Adam or I know, and
Yeah.
we'll chat with you.
Okay.
So.
We got seven meetings, and so we'll talk about it.
Well, and Shy get our
Stadium.
stadium.
Yeah.
They're down the road,
Yeah.
you know,
And there's also the one that we've met at ISB that does smaller, kind of, that specializes in these sort of projects, where they're kind of
Right.
standalone. indoor facility Friday, since I know that they're crying, it's from last year. I handed you, they give me their cards and I hand them data, because I'm like, I'm not the one that's gonna be calling it.
Well, and I think you'd be foolish not to ask. What's that architectural was waiting for in the Lakeview,
Opium,
opiate?
yes,
So, I mean,
yep, another local one,
right,
yep.
to, you know,
And the secret here, because it's just, people who specialize in going, you've gotta be, you know, as we all know, it's like. We need a functional building. It's not that we don't want it to look nice, but it's like, this is not a building that we want to spend $1 million on the outside of it to look like. Look like the Taj Mahal. This has gotta be a functional facility and, you know, meet our students' needs, so.
Yep.
That, management services.
I really have been digging our monthly meetings, so Megan and I get together with Pat and Davis, and we did an agenda, we go over some of which are later on in the conversation today, including some of the fees, we talked about last time about red truck, as well as, the storm protection opportunity.
One of the things that, put on your list, last year we adjusted, the amount of for the admin team, because the insurance rates went up this year. The insurance rates for our associates went up, and so they're now, the lowest cost plan is now above what we provide. We've been trying to kind of, you know, it's kind of, we've always tried to make sure historically that we provided at least enough to cover the lowest cost plan
Right.
for that. And then for teachers, it was health, dental, and vision, and then the admin was the other one. So, with that very high, I don't think it's something we expect later in the year, so we probably should revisit that to see whether or not we need to tweak that, make sure we get people enough coverage to think before they can cover the health insurance.
I don't think Pat brought that up last time, maybe this. is
We ran
some
out of time.
information. Ran out of time.
We ran out of time, we had a long list, ran out of time, so. Teachers get $625 a month. Classified like associate secretaries, directors, $500 a month. And our cheapest single insurance policy is $515, I believe, or $513, $515. So this is the first time since I've been here, that our cheapest plan isn't covered by the district board benefit. So associates, if they took a single plan, they would $15 a month would come out of the check. So what we're saying is, do we need to increase that amount a little bit so that it fully covers at least our cheapest single? Yeah, and that's the conversation. And we ran some numbers at maximum if every single person took our insurance, which they don't.
Right.
It'd be about 18 grand in the district
Do we need to have this solved before our next financial?
before the June board meeting needs to be decided.
Before the June, then we already,
Right.
we are on the books, so let's make sure that's the first thing we talk about.
Yeah, because it kicks in July, so
July.
before the June board meeting.
I didn't know if it needed to be before they sign the contracts or,
No,
Because
it's not in the contract.
got it, so we'll just make sure we take that first, because we always run out of things. We run out of time. Two
Yeah,
more.
I just wanted to bring up, it was some
Thank you.
back of my mind, so, what I mentioned to David, she said you guys ran out of time, it was on your agenda, I just wanted to elevate it on your agenda for next meeting, so,
Okay,
because it is a little bit time sensitive now.
fair.
Governance,
Health insurance is expensive.
yeah. Yeah, we'll, cell phone policy would be the main one coming up, so. I'll talk to Adam after we kind of get your data. And,
We may also want to talk about, this might cross over with the in-board policy, we have facilities and facility rentals, and things like that. It's been probably 7 years since we've looked at that.
Sure.
7, 8 years, we may want to just go back and look at, make sure that
well, and we're gonna have another gym.
another gym and soon in a year, another indoor facility, and we
Yeah.
just want to take a look at
Yeah.
it. So really, when we get that gym down in Lakeview, it'll really be a worthwhile gym for youth.
Yeah.
With the new flooring, with the new hoops, with the new wall matting,
Yeah.
it'll really be a good gym to use.
so yeah, that'll start with, governance, but, that'll also, obviously, for national services, you'll probably have to see guidance from the other information matters. So, feel free to reach out, have Natalie coordinate with financial services.
Just send me an email.
It involved everybody except for me. It's the only committee, so. Consent agenda. Anything we need to pull out? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Cruz, second by Robles. All in favor, signify by.
But to be in lanes 1 through 4. For the girls,
Motion carried unanimously.
You said it.
Information items,
This is not sunscreen.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, it's not enough.
SCSD.
it's close, it is stormy, but, so. I believe you have a copy of this, it's also in here, so we met with Ellison, who is basically, the individuals that are providing the information.
Ellison here in town?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, Megan and I, as well as Pat and Davis, met, and we talked a little bit about this storm protection fund. It is a consortium that has been formed, they've combined into, that will significantly reduce your deductible should you need it. So we've had with Rachel, we've had several different things, and it covers all of the buildings. So they've done an estimate across all of the different buildings, and I am totally paraphrasing a lot of this and giving you the short story. There's a longer story if you want it. But bottom line is you buy into this consortium, this pool of money, your very first year at $45,000.
Hmm.
And then that will give you a deductible that much significantly lower than that. I think, what is the deductible? I can't remember. I gotta read my notes. Whereas what we would be paying now, based off of not going into this, would be 1% of the total value of the actual building. And so give you an example, the high school is worth 40 million. So our deductible there would be $400,000. Just to cover.
Wind and
storm-
hail.
Wind
Wind and hail.
Mhm.
from a storm damage.
Tornado,
That's wind.
okay,
So your first year is $45,000 to buy in to build the pool up. Your second year, it reduces to somewhere around 25,000 every year on. So it's a big insurance policy, if you will, to ensure you have very low deductible in the event you have.
just us?
No.
Or we're with, this is like the
The
gas,
big giant.
this is like the gas and electric. kind of-
Yes, whoever
Yes.
wants to get in and buy in, they can.
Yeah.
So like when we met and talked about this, Joanne and
Chris
Chris,
Carney.
Carney, thank you, they came and kind of answered questions and presented to us. Grant, what AA sues were on email and not a single one that replied stated what, all of them stated they're buying in. So,
Because it moves potential expenses to management, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Management.
pay us
And
out.
then it moves it to management,
And if we have to pay the deductible, if something happens, we have to get out of general fund
correct,
or PEPAL.
Yeah,
right.
and what, I mean, this is a bit of an aside, some of the legislation coming out of things are gonna be directed at the management fund,
For the property tax relief
right,
act.
They're gonna cap what we can have in there.
right, that's what I'm saying,
We
so,
need to spend it down probably anyway.
We don't have to vote on it today, this is information, Megan and I both feel it's a no-brainer. Just from our current perspective right now, to go ahead and buy into this consortium. If we decide not to this year, we wanna go next year, it's still going to be the 45, like you still have to pay what you would normally have paid your first year, so.
and then you're continuing that same 25,000-ish, whatever
Correct.
payment for.
And it could be a little bit less,
Annually.
it depends
Annually.
on how much is really in the pool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we got just information, so we had the hail damage on the stadium. Most of the bathrooms. Is that part of it, or, I know, because it's not structural. When Brian looked at it, it's like, it's not structural, it's just cosmetic damage, and because it's not the actual roof that keeps water out of the building, it's just cosmetic. It was not covered because it was not a functional. Maybe it's a question to ask, and not that it probably matters, it's one of those odd things, right? When we had hail damage, it's like, well, it's not technically a roof, it's just a decorative piece, and so therefore it's not covered, so. Probably not, if the insurance will cover it all, it's probably not covered, because it's.
Yeah.
Just a question, so, I'm supportive of this, so.
I don't know, because right now they had the replacement costs and such based on the building, and I don't.
I guess the question would be, what if there's no damage to the stadium or
Or the new facility.
the new facility, actually, that would be a good question, if we're gonna be building the new facility. Will there be an additional buy-in for the new building, or is that already coming at the current level of buying it, or not level, and will they say, okay, you need a payment for this first one, for the first year of the new building, you have an additional payment. I can see it either way, but.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, any other questions?
Nope.
Action items, Solon High School graduating class. I'm not supposed to ask for anybody's name from the list. But I am supposed to.
You want to remove reasons?
We need it for wrestling next year. So we're gonna keep them another year.
Yeah. Great. No, I did tease my family, I did Snapchat this and see if I should.
Okay.
What's the total number?
Is it 101? 101.
Is that 101 for the class, or is that 101 for the, we've got some there?
Everybody made it?
Yeah,
100%, well, that's a good.
it is.
That's a celebration.
Now,
That is a celebration.
keep in mind, well, but when our 4-year graduation rate comes out next year, it won't be 100% because some of these kids will hold so that they can go to a program in Kirkwood.
Yeah, go to the Vital program.
The Vital program, and have it paid for and supported through their IEP.
Oh,
So
Gotcha.
that, it's a good thing for the kid and the family. It does take a hit on our graduation. Yeah, and that's been a complaint for many years across Iowa.
Right.
Now,
Your diplomas in the high school safe.
well, we get a 5-year, or usually our 5 years, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because once they all go through.
yep, then we get our 100%, we hit it.
So Natalie just looked it up, 105's in the class, we're holding 4 for that program.
Okay.
So outside the ones that we're holding for that program, all graduated.
And they all graduate.
They will all graduate 5 years. Because these
Will
4,
the 4 walk? Or something?
yes.
Yeah,
will.
we just hold their
Yeah.
diploma.
It's like, it's got the date, it's got everything on it, and it goes into the safe. It's like they hand it to the kids so they can take it home, and they can go family pictures and stuff, and they have to bring it back to the office on Monday morning.
Mhm.
Yay.
Well. As far as me is concerned, 100%.
Yeah.
It's state rules, so just, I'm more for our student representative, just so you understand how the process works. There's things that just sometimes don't make sense, but by us taking the diploma and locking it in a safe for a year, it means we can pay for another year of schooling for them as they transition, support the transition to Kirkwood. But they don't get to have it officially, they're not graduating, even though they're part of the graduating class. And those are part of it. It's a win-win for everybody except for our numbers on our paperwork.
So I'd like to motion to approve Solon High School graduating class in 2025.
I thought you might, as presented,
That's presented.
as presented, second. Motion by roll call, second by Coons. Any comments from anybody? Are you happy that they're leaving?
No, well, some of them.
So,
It's pretty much every. Some of us are gonna miss, some I'm not gonna miss so much.
the saddest part was some of them, when they're told on Monday that they can't come to the way, because they're out of sports season and they're now not a student, and they have to use the alumni time. That's always the shocker for some of them. What do you mean I can't come in on Monday to wait? So, we have a motion, a second, no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Registration school fees.
I can speak over, I mean, there's some in there, I'll speak specifically around the 2 items that the financial committee has brought forward, so we talked about it last time. We can talk about it now, the ref track fees, we just can't keep absorbing the cost of that particular transaction fee, so Lee and I want to move forward with that 3% transactional fee. It will definitely help us to recoup some of the costs that we have been absorbing today.
And that's if they use their credit card, but they still have the option to write a check. Right. If they want to avoid those fees, they can just write a check.
Those are $1.50 fixed to 3%.
Yeah.
3%. And then, the other thing that we wanted to make a change in just nomenclature, it's the labeling of the textbook fees. We are a modern technologist district. We wanted to make sure that it was all inclusive of what it was really paying for, and we said curriculum resource. Just wanted you to label that, so it made more sense. So when people ask, maybe will help explain exactly what that is being used for.
Also know that the Walmart voted for their gate price to go from $6 to $7. So that's an increase on our conference.
But if we say no,
Then we can still continue here to charge only $6. Just know that when you travel to
Can we
Walmart.
pick certain schools on the one that have to pay more?
non-conference games are $10, and conference games are $6.
So you can't charge more than 7.
Not the Walmart,
Not for conference.
not for a conference. Any conference school, we cannot charge up. Now, if we were hosting a tournament on a Saturday, I believe, and we had Prairie coming and City High and stuff like that, we could charge them.
Sure, but Walmart,
Walmart is 7 is
it's
max,
up to.
from $6 to 7. 7 is the ticket
Would be
price.
charged
max.
3 if we wanted.
Yeah. Middle school staying the same, the cost of referees and the cost of.
Well, that's reasonable.
Just, it's of everything,
Transportation.
transportation, yeah.
I do think we should
Paying
charge,
for bus drivers is more expensive.
Mhm.
It is,
I do think we should charge NBC schools $10.
I agree with that.
Because they're charging us $5. Volleyball was up there, it's $9. Prairie is a 10. It's up to 10, great.
Yeah. It's 10.
I know Adam wants to charge them more. If you had to book the volleyball, it's expensive to pay for a family, you don't know, think that, so, and that was for everybody.
Yeah.
Anything else I see
So
preschool?
we are proposing a $7.
Yeah.
Okay, that's in the fees, and then,
I see preschool is up, we're proposing increase on preschool fees.
That's been approved, we just have that on
Just
the
on there.
feed sheet, we can put, yeah.
What was it before, ish?
250, I believe, 250.
What was it for 5 minutes?
It's 500 now, it's
500.
Both are 10%.
Yeah.
Oh, she said Piper was 250, so we haven't raised it forever.
that's gonna, yeah.
Well, that's just,
Yeah.
maybe we should thank you for some type of graduating.
And where's that in
So you
relation
need a
to?
motion?
I do.
So for preschool,
After they do that.
keep in mind the state pays for 2.5 hours of that day.
Okay.
And then parents have the choice to just come for that 2.5 hours. If they want the full wraparound, it's $275 a month. And then that goes associates, teachers.
What are
resources.
what's SLA? Do we know?
We're the cheapest by far. We're
I
less-
would imagine.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
Same for BASB.
correct.
There was, is it the SAP?
The fees aren't, yeah, no, yeah,
We raised those last year.
correct. Yeah,
And we said we went to. Take out 2 years.
yeah.
Your motion or I motion? I motion. Motion to approve the 2025-2026 registration/school fees.
As presented, motion by Coons,
Second,
second by Rolls, discussion.
Your parents pay anyway, right?
We getting ready to run here, Abby?
Hearing none, no discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Track bid approval, Davis, apparently we need to.
Yes, this is our second go around. It was way out of whack the first time we put this out to bid. They had combined it with the scoreboard. And they had a 30% general contractor. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So we went back, told the scoreboard, said we only want to bid the track. And because originally we were told, yeah, at max it'll be 160. We rebid it, bids came in today, we actually had 3 bidders on it. And Midwest Track, which does a lot of work in the corridor and around the state of Iowa, they were low bid at 157.
Okay.
So very, very pleased, and they can meet our timelines. That's what we were most worried about.
Right.
Because we had bid this a month ago. And with those time slots. And they get filled up, but 2 out of the 3 bidders said that they could meet those time.
So remind me that we got the, is the 157 122 with the addendum? Or is it for base?
It's for base.
And what are we doing with the addendum?
I think the addendum was,
To extend the portion?
the addendum was outside our timeline.
So we're only working base, but we're not doing the extra.
Correct.
Hey Davis, what did we initially budget for that?
160.
Perfect.
Yep, yeah. So, I'll talk to Pat tomorrow and look at this bid at 157, and then our architectural fees to see what we have left to contribute toward that scoreboard.
Will we we'll have to reline all the stuff and
New paint.
there's some quirky stuff in that. Will we fix that? Or is it unfixable?
The way the track is laid out,
Oh.
and it's unfixable.
Okay.
Because of where the field house is.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, but they have, since we painted it last, changed some exchange zones and all that stuff altered, so this will bring our track up to date.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the track bid approval of $157,122 as presented.
Construction.
I second.
Motion by Coon, second by Locals. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Next up is second reading of board policies. And anything you want to say?
Nothing new. Adam, anything new?
Nothing that I saw. I thought that looked good.
Yeah.
So we're proposing both the ISB readings and the 500 series.
Yep. So motion to approve the second reading of the board policies as presented.
Second.
Motion by Coon, second by Local, so just reminder, this is not the second reading of the cell phone policy, which we're taking up in June.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next up is a resolution appointing campaign agent, Bob Registrar. I'd normally point to Pat, but she's moving her child home to college, so, we're executing bonds, so we just need these are the next necessary steps. So I know there's a lot of signatures that Pat, Natalie and I have to sign on them.
Exact same procedure that last year.
I would like a motion to approve the resolution appointing payment agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent agreement and authorization, the execution of same as presented.
Motion by Roll. Second by Coons. This requires the yeas and nays. We will call
Here.
roll call vote.
Call roll. All right,
Roll
Coon,
call vote.
Yes.
Roll.
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
All right, and motion carries 4-0.
Double jab at Megan there.
Natalie and I discussed it. We're trying to figure out how to do this, so we don't say it here every time we do a roll call. Next up is the approval of approval of form of tax exemption.
I motion to approve the approval of form of tax exempt certificate as presented.
Motion by Roll call. Second by Coons. This requires the yeas and nays. Roll call vote.
Coons,
Yes.
Roll.
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-0.
Approval of the continuing disclosure certificate.
I motion to approve the approval of the continuing disclosure certificate as presented.
Motion by Roll call. Second by Coons. This requires the yeas and nays. Roll call vote.
All right, Coons,
Yes.
Roll.
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes,
All right, motion carries 4-0.
Wonderful.
and then finally,
I'd like to motion to approve the resolution amending the resolution authorization, the insurance. Issuance of the bonds and levying a tax for the payment thereof adopted February 20th, 2025 as presented.
motion by roll call. Second by Coons, this requires the yeas and nays. Roll
All
call
right.
vote.
Coons,
Yay.
Rolf,
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes,
All right, motion carries 4-0.
okay. Board learning. You were supposed to read this memo on property tax proposal, that came out May 8th, so we got a brief discussion on that. So. I think
I have a couple copies.
I think it's largely for us to be all on the same page. Cassie, I think, have you been discussed things or just get the memos or read?
Is it what?
Have you done any this webinars when they've done them or not?
The webinars around this, I've not done the webinars, but I've read it, but I will be honest, if this is board learning, I have a lot to learn.
I think for us.
I need like a tax 101.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't even know, like, I actually just now recently understood what a rollback was. So.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think that's one of the reasons I asked Natalie to put on there. So there's a lot of things that people don't understand. I think it's complicated. You know, we've had this rollback system that no one fully understands, which tends to constrain the growth of taxable property, which in theory means that property values can go up too quickly, but it's not on your individual property, it's on the conglomeration of property around the state, so they adjust this rollback number. But I think the big thing for me is just so we're all kind of on the same page. I think it's gonna be complicated with us through, and it's gonna be, there's gonna be issues for us, and I think it's important for us to kind of understand what we might have to struggle with, and the implications for our community are, you know, more of the tax burden will fall on people who own houses. Commercial and farm and industrial will bear less of the tax burden. You know, our tax rates will be reduced, so our tax rate for bonds and for couple, they're supposed to be reduced, depends on where they settle in. Originally, they said dropped in 50%. I think now maybe they're only dropping in 30%. I think was the last number I saw. But then there's some phase in the most recent proposal. There's a phase in over 10 years, potentially, so that things gradually level out.
Yeah, the original Senate bill had, 5 years, so.
And so I think it's, you know, I think the goal of that was just to have a brief conversation and realize how little we know about it. And realize it's gonna have a big impact on our budgeting. Because if we change, they keep saying it's gonna be revenue neutral, but all the assessments are that it's not revenue neutral. The total amount of money available to schools will be less. Because we cut the rates.
Because the rates are going to go down.
The rates are gonna go down, but the amount of property that you're allowed to tax doesn't increase by enough to cover that. And then there's issues for us, and I don't know whether some of them, it's like, how do you deal with people who already have property tax burdens? Like, you know, we have general obligation bonds in the field, and if we have to pay them back at a slower rate, then
Right.
we'll be okay, because we prepaid ours, right? But some districts are just barely getting by. And if they no longer can raise enough revenue to pay the bonds off in a given year, they then got to use general fund money to pay bonds, which means you're impacting school programs, which means, you know, are we cutting band? Are we cutting art? Are we cutting a science class? Are we cutting a teacher? Are we cutting extracurriculars? You know, and we're not gonna be in that spot because Pat makes sure that we don't get there.
Right.
But we're lucky. There's a lot of other districts that are not gonna be as lucky as we are. I think it's all but.
And we're not hugely tied to industry as much as some other.
Yeah, so we won't be affected as much, at least from a school standpoint, but we will be when you think about county taxes.
Well,
Because
that's true.
county has a lot of industrial base in the county, so
Right.
our county property taxes our
But how much of the county tax do we actually, does the school actually get?
no, I'm talking about our constituents in the community.
Oh,
Yeah, so we don't get any of it from the county, but people who are paying our property taxes for the school that live in our district are also paying county taxes and city taxes, and so they're gonna be hit in other ways.
Yeah.
In that, and so, you know, there may be some blowback.
This is the thing that I don't understand, like in the summary of this, it says it cuts Pebble in our debt levy rates in half.
Yep.
But yet, under the bigger picture, it says that the proposal will impact cities and counties differently than it will impact schools.
Yep.
But it's,
So they're gonna switch, my understanding is that the cities and counties are gonna move to more of a model where they're gonna constrain their spending, whereas before they had to kind of carte blanche do what they want to. Where they're gonna limit the growth, in city and county spending. So that it can't increase more than a certain percentage. Including, you know, if there's new properties in developed, so you can increase it reflecting that, but otherwise. You know, if your property, if you stayed steady in the taxing district of the city. If you weren't increasing the number of properties you're serving, your ability to add programs is gonna be limited because you can't grow your property tax rate. Can't be, we've got this great program we wanna do, we're just gonna raise taxes. Well, you can't, it might take you 5 years to raise enough to cover that, so the goal is to constrain spending growth in cities and counties.
There will be some unfortunately unintended consequences.
Yeah,
And the school might be right in the center.
so do you know, so the uniform levy rate reduction?
yeah,
How are we impacted by that? Because that rate's going from $5.40 to $4.49.
yeah.
Because that is a dense version
Right.
and
So,
ISB had a,
yeah, and so
where's my computer?
yeah, so what they have proposed is that because property values will be able to tax more the property value, we don't have to have as high a rate,
Higher rate,
and so.
but I don't know, like any of that, I'm asking is.
So the uniform,
Is the school impacted by the rate of the uniform levy rate?
in theory, no. Because that money, part of it, they're also taking and just throwing it to the state, and they're gonna pay out of the general fund, but that means we're contingent on the general fund being able to pay out. And there's a
But
900
we are by the Pebble rate, because that's gonna go
double
from
rate and.
33 cents to 24 cents.
Yeah.
The voter is gonna be able to, it's gonna be reduced from $1.34 to 94 cents. And then we did talk with the financial committee about needing to put on the ballot potentially.
Yeah.
The instructional levy, instructional,
That
materials levy,
that expires in 28 or 27.
and these 7, but we were thinking about doing it on this ballot and putting it for the 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Executives not.
Yeah. Yeah,
You don't
that'd be
wait
good.
till the last minute.
Yeah,
it's secured over 10 years rather than keep doing the whole on.
Yeah.
And that was, we did the calculation, was like $800,000 in that money every year.
yes,
I think,
You're like, I need it.
that's a good, I need it.
yeah, and so I think, I think we do want to push forward, but I think the question, really there's a timing for it, so.
Well, the question would be, after we all just got our evaluations, you know,
Mhm.
people are gonna be mobilized to vote this down.
Mhm.
I think the one thing that is in about this, because people don't understand the rollback,
Right.
is if you do move from, you know, they lower the rate, but then they also change, they increase the money to crack off all of the value of their house. So we don't think that's the full value, but instead of it being controlled by a rollback, nobody understands, it's controlled by a fixed amount. I think I don't know what it so long, it was. Do you remember? Up to $150,000, depending on what the property value is, so it's 10% up to $150,000, like that.
We don't want to roll back?
No, the deduction the deduction for what you get to subtract off before you start paying taxes on it.
No, but this is where I need to go to my tax attorney. Maybe I don't even have one, but if I did, you know.
I call. Can you please explain this in English?
Basically, by voters prior to January 2026, districts cannot levy at a rate more than 70% of what the single is at, or that's for the net service. Yeah, we won't be able to pay our dentist test.
Correct.
That's,
The good news is
and why would we, what is in it for Iowa?
the idea is people are complaining about the property taxes, and so
So this is going to reduce it, because that's not what I'm hearing.
it will reduce your property taxes, but it's gonna raise your taxes in other ways. The biggest thing is, it constrains, but it's, so the homestead credit will be increased to 50,000, so it's right now there's a $48,850 homestead credit, you can see that off. So increase it, the proposal increase it to 25% of the home value not to exceed $125,000. So if your house is worth $1 million, you would tax on. It's really 25% of the thousand mechanics that are good, so you can tax on $850,000 of value in the property. If your house is worth $100,000, you can tax on $75,000 of it, so. So it's a big mess, and they're trying to rush it through at the end of the year, so we'll see if they.
Well, they're past session now.
They are, they stop getting paid, so that's always it always incentivizes the government. They really supposed
The 14th, wait, today's the 14th.
they were trying to be gone, this week. So. Depends, the governor wants me to stay and finish this, so we'll see. And the governor can always order them back to finish this, they decide to leave the document itself.
She's out, so she can,
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what we got, that's what we have for the learning is, there's lots of stuff we gotta keep track of, and our life is gonna get more complicated, really. Basically what it means is our financial services committee, if this comes through, is gonna have to sort of sit and work with it, and see how our budget gets readjusted.
I would recommend it. The committee is something that we will never do that.
What I would also recommend is that we probably, before the committee takes it up, that we run it past, and when Pat's comfortable with it, then we just do like a half hour, 45-minute work session where Pat walks all of us through it and says, this is what the implications are, and we think about. We can ask our questions and then the financial
You like the
services.
schoolhouse for all our taxes.
That's right. No one will come, other than the people who have to. Okay, talking points.
Just excited to see how the phone thing goes. Trying to keep an open mind, but it's kind of hard with all my peers just think, no, I don't want this. So just trying to guide everyone, I guess, and keep an open mind about it.
We appreciate that. It's hard.
You just let me know if that Lions kid gets out of line.
Let me know if that. Well, it's not the graduation most year.
What is your hypothesis? I'm not gonna say Monday or Tuesday, it would become like Thursday. Towards the end of next week, what do you think is gonna be the?
I don't really know. I know there's gonna be kids that are like really struggling.
Okay.
But I think for the most part, we're gonna be fine. Like, just once we get into the groove, just feel it out a little bit.
We hope that you will be the eyes and ears and you'll be all the good and the bad and the ugly, and, but also tell us like. I'm happy so we can make sure.
So it's a challenge. Adults have issues. I've been to some dinner meetings where it's like, you're trying to, where it's like, we all commit, we're setting our cell phones on the corner of the table and no one's allowed to touch them, and you're all like, they're all buzzing, and then you're like.
Well,
Those dinners are good and the conversations are good. It's like, I really wish we all would have turned the buzzers off before we put them there, but yeah, everyone's subject to it, I think, I think the society as a whole, we're trying to be more cognizant. I know when we put family things, we try to set our phones aside and say, you're present with the people you're with, and it's better from a mental health standpoint. And get told Davis saying, everybody when I went to message all my notifications off of my phone, it's like, oh. But it doesn't matter. I don't need the world to interfere with my. Your mind is much more peaceful. It's much more. I agree with you. I would say it's a challenge, it's not just a challenge, you know. It's not exclusively. But yeah. And that, Dan and Hannah will have to jump on, endless for staff and everything, we'll go through the past year as well, so, because what the implications are for staff, for modeling that and what that means, so. Yeah.
Well, our graduating class, you know, just another good year and, you know, it's interesting as your kids are exiting, you know, and the freshmen still, so that, one more, but it's just, you know, it brings back those memories of my kids graduating and, you know, all those things next year. It'll be you.
And we'll hope we survive the next 2 weeks.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But yeah, it'll be, it's always exciting and it's new beginnings. You know, it's closing a chapter, opening a new chapter. So it's fun to see what the kids are gonna do and what paths they'll take, and just so you know, many paths aren't straight. You know, and that's normal. So it'll be fun. I'm excited.
Although I'm actually kind of excited. I don't play golf. I would love to learn golf, and I wish at an earlier age that I learned to like golf. And I'm just super jazzed about how many people are out for golf and the success we've had in the program, because that's a sport you can continue to do in your older years as well. And it's business oriented sport, it's a competitive sport, it's a neighborhood sport, it's a fundraising sport, and so I'm just, there are how many boys, I think there's like 40,
No,
70.
almost 70.
7 boys out for golf. That's great. That's great. I mean, of course, you only have so many that can golf on the varsity, you know, roster or whatever, but still there's an opportunity for everybody to swing the club, and so that's exciting.
How many are up for the girls' school this year?
About 20.
20.
Yeah,
Okay, make sure it's more.
trying,
Beat
really trying.
the boys. That's great.
Well, we won conference and they did it.
That-
So.
There we go. I love it. Atta girl.
Burn.
I'll make sure I remind them of that. It's too bad, good thing Megan's not here. That'd be funny,
Megan was on state golf team.
but I mean, reminder.
I know, yeah, true.
I'm gonna dispense with Adam, because I know he's at a location where it's hard for him to chime in, so I'm assuming you'll have great things to say next month, on talking points. For me, celebration achievements is always great. I was pleasantly surprised with one of our freshman students who put their phones in the comments, and talk about trying to create opportunities for our students to engage in areas that are interested in them. That's like, you just have to be creative about doing that. Students sometimes find them on their own, and how do we support them? So I think as we look forward to what sort of activities and what sort of things we can do, that shows us that they're out here and help facilitate some of these things. And we had a visit where it's all the first year of the Phoenix Bible economists and the college students in, and there's been some section like that. How do we continue to grow that? And go on to say, some of we talk about things that some of the papers will, some of the papers, newspapers will have a page dedicated once a month in school, and they have pictures and stuff in the school. So there's things we can do to help grow some of that journalism aspect of high school students to think about. So our next meeting is June 19th at Central Office at 5:30 p.m. Adam Velasquez will be presiding. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion by Coons.
Second.
And Larry, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you for coming to join